Hello everybody in Lower Key Stage 2. I hope you're all right and you're having a good Tuesday. I've been having some messages from some parents telling me that you've been cracking on with your work, so well done if that's you. Don't forget, take it easy, do it in whichever way you want to. Just try and get a little bit done here and there. Maybe save your favourites till last or do your favourites first, whatever works for you. Just see if you can keep dipping in and doing that lovely work that you were doing before the half-term holiday. Okay, so we're back in Toto, the Wizard of Oz. We're on chapter 3 and it's called A Real Live Walking, Talking Scarecrow. By now, my little puppies, I was getting pretty hungry, I can tell you. I was especially missing the sausages that Aunt Em always made for breakfast. Uncle Henry would often sneak me one under the table, Dorothy too, but Aunt Em never. I do love my sausages. I tried all sorts to let Dorothy know. I sat down right by her, all polite and tail tucked in, and touched her with my cold, cold nose. That didn't work. I looked up at her as plaintively as I could. And I can do plaintive pretty darn well when I want to, little puppies, and all the while letting my tongue hang out and dribble. I did a bit of whining and whimpering. I tried pawing her leg, but she was just too busy to pay me any attention. Not now, Toto, Dorothy said. Can't you see I'm getting myself dressed and all smartened up for our long walk down the yellow brick road? She was putting on her favourite frock of blue and white checks. Doesn't it look fine, Toto, with my new red shoes? She said, twirling round to show me. And look, she said, tying her bonnet on. Better still with my bonnet that Aunt Em made especially, and my basket too for sandwiches. We've got to have sandwiches. And we'll put Uncle Henry's hat in the basket too so we won't forget it. I sat there telling her with my eyes as best I could that I really wasn't that interested in her bonnet on her or her basket, that my tummy was gurgling and groaning with hunger. Finally, she got the message. Oh, Toto, I'm sorry. Don't look so sad. Aunt Em had some ham and bread in the kitchen. I'll soon find something for you. Now she was talking. She made ham sandwiches on the kitchen table. There were broken plates and dishes scattered all around us. Everything was topsy-turvy. That twister had surely made a dreadful mess of the place. Dorothy had a sandwich and I had one too. I had lots. She made a few more for the journey. I thanked her with my eyes, with my dribbly tongue and with my cold, cold nose. Now we have to find the yellow brick road, Dorothy said, which will lead us, so that good kind witch said, to the Emerald City and the great and terrible Wizard of Oz. I don't much like the sound of terrible, Toto, but just so long as he can help us get back to Kansas, we don't care how terrible he is. Do we, Toto? So she picked up her basket, now with Uncle Henry's hat in it, and packed it with some more sandwiches. Sadly, there were no sausages. Off we went then, shutting the door behind us, following the stream, where I stopped to have a long, cool drink. Dorothy said I made a lot of noise with my lapping, as if I wanted to drink the whole stream. Well, the water was lovely, and I love to lap. We walked on and on through lovely leafy orchards of apples and pears and peaches and plums, where Dorothy helped herself and filled her basket, being careful not to squash Uncle Henry's hat. To be honest, I'm not that keen on fruit, never have been. And at last, there ahead of us lay the yellow brick road, golden in sunshine, stretching away over the hills into the distance, so as far as the eye could see. Come along, Toto, Dorothy said. That's the way we go. That's the way home to Kansas. Back home to Aunt Em and Uncle Henry. So there we were, the two of us, Dorothy carrying the basket over her arm with the ham sandwiches in it and the fruit she picked on the way, making our way along the yellow brick road. She was happy, I could tell, skipping along and singing as she went. So I was happy too, because she was, and because we were on our way home, with a little bit of luck. All the munchkins we met along the way could not have been kinder. They all seemed to know what we had done, or the farmhouse had done, and how we had squashed the Wicked Witch of the East and set them free. They gave us shelter for the night. They feted us, feasted us royally. There was dancing and singing wherever we went. I loved playing with the children, and they made a great fuss of me, squeaking with laughter when I jumped for their balls or leapt into the stream after their sticks. The munchkins would have hung garlands around our necks before setting us on our way again the next day, waving us off, wishing us well. Those munchkin folk thought I was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. I don't think any of them ever had seen a dog before. The babies and toddlers in particular loved me, pulling my tail and ears, never too hard. And I'd let them because it didn't hurt, and they'd giggle and gurgle and shriek. And they all loved Dorothy too, because they knew she was a kind and good witch. She had to be, they said, because she had killed the Wicked Witch of the East, which was good, and set them free, which was good. They also said there were blue checks in her dress, and blue was the Munchkins' favourite colour. They too all wore blue dresses or blue jackets and trousers, blue hats and blue socks and shoes. So for many reasons they felt Dorothy was one of them. They loved her when she danced, loved her when she sang. I have to say, I have always thought Dorothy sings a bit shrilly and squeakily for my liking, and she sings a little too often as well, but they seem to like it. But once we were on our way again, down the yellow brick road, Dorothy fell silent. Dorothy wasn't often silent. Something was wrong. She soon told me what it was. No one seems to know how far it is to the Emerald City, and all the Munchkins say we should be very careful, that everything may look mighty pretty on the way, but there will be dangers ahead, that we have to be brave, and I'm not sure I'm all that brave, Toto. And they all seem terribly frightened of the Wizard of Oz whenever they speak of him. I don't know why, but we have to find him, Toto, don't we? He's the only one who can help us get back to Kansas. And I want to see Aunt Em again and Uncle Henry, so we'll just have to be brave, won't we, Toto? We'll walk on down the yellow brick road for as long as it takes, and we won't be frightened, not of anyone, not of anything, and especially not of the Wizard of Oz. That's how Dorothy always cheered herself up, by talking to herself, or to me, well, to both of us mostly. So on we went under the hot, hot sun, Dorothy skipping along, singing rather too often, and me trotting along cheerily at her heels, wagging my tail to keep happy and keep her happy too. After a few miles we sat down by a stream to rest. She was dabbling her aching feet in the cool of the stream, and I was lapping up all the water I could. "Look!" cried Dorothy suddenly. "Over there! A scarecrow! Like we have at home on a farm!" And sure enough, a little further down the stream, standing in a field of ripe corn, was a scarecrow. But he was not at all like the poor old stuffed sack of a scarecrow we had back home, with Uncle Henry's dirty old hat and dusty old jacket and his smelly old pipe stuck in his mouth. No, this was the smartest looking scarecrow I ever saw. He had proper eyes and a proper nose and a proper mouth. He even had sticks for ears. He was dressed like the Munchkins, entirely in blue, wore the same kind of round, wide-brimmed hat they did. He was pointed at the top and was blue like everything else he wore. He had proper boots on him too, like the Munchkins, blue ones and blue socks too. "Why, he looks almost alive!" cried Dorothy. "What a fine scarecrow!" We got up and ran down along the riverbank to get a closer look. Dorothy was right. He was the finest scarecrow I ever saw. He wasn't at all lopsided and weather-beaten like the poor old fellow back home. This one stood up straight and tall. As we came closer, we could see he had a pole stuck under his jacket at the back, fixing him securely to the ground. He was standing there stiff and still, but he was so real-looking, so alive-looking. I ran up to him, barking at him. He never moved, so I knew he had to be a scarecrow. A smart scarecrow, but a scarecrow like all scarecrows. A stuffed man with straw. "Hello, little dog," he said suddenly. The scarecrow spoke. He was alive. Dorothy looked at me, and I looked at Dorothy. "Excuse me, sir," Dorothy said, "but did you speak?" "I did," came the reply. His voice sounded much as how you would expect a scarecrow to speak, with a husky, dusty voice. Dorothy didn't seem to know what to say. I did. I just went on barking till she shushed me. Then she said what all people folk seem to say when they don't know what else to say. "How are you doing, sir?" "Oh, not so good, I'm afraid," said the scarecrow. "I mean, all I do is stand here all day and all night. I don't just scare away crows. That's my job. I scare away everything and everyone. Gets a bit lonely, if I'm honest. I'm not complaining, mind. My Munchkin farmer comes out to see me from time to time and tells me his troubles. Says he likes talking to me because I'm a good friend and I listen. Back home, he says, no one listens to him." "Oh, poor you," Dorothy said. "Can't you move? Just walk away?" "Oh, I wish, how I wish. See this pole stuck at my jacket? Well, it's hammered deep into the ground behind me, so I'm stuck here. Can't move." "Have you asked the farmer to let you go?" said Dorothy. "Uncle Henry's a farmer and he's very kind. Most farmers are in Kansas." "Oh, I've asked him," said the scarecrow, "but he says he made me so I belong here, that I have a job to do, and besides, he likes my company." "Oh, but that doesn't seem very fair," said Dorothy. Wouldn't you like to be free? Oh, more than anything, said the Scarecrow. But how can I get myself off this pole? I can't move. We'll soon fix that, Dorothy told him, won't we, Toto? Toto? The Scarecrow asked. Oh, that's my dog's name, and I'm Dorothy, Dorothy said, tugging at the pole and wiggling it back and forth to and fro. Have you got a name? Just Scarecrow, said Scarecrow. It's what I am, just an old scarecrow stuffed with straw. You'll never get that pole out of the ground, Dorothy. It's very kind of you to try. Maybe you could lift me off. I'm very light, you see. So Dorothy reached up, put her arms right around him and lifted him clear off the pole, then set him down on the ground in front of her. I expected him to fall over, but he didn't. He shook himself down, pulled his coat straight and arranged his hat. There, he said, that's much better. I feel quite a new Scarecrow. Oh, you've been so good to me, Dorothy. Thank you so very much. He looked down at me as if he was rather nervous of me. Does that dog bite? He asked. Oh, never, replied Dorothy, which was not quite true. And anyway, Toto likes you. I like you. Oh, and I like you too, both of you, Scarecrow said. So where were you off to on this fine day, if I might ask? Dorothy told him where he had come from and where we were going and why, and all about the great and terrible Wizard of Oz who could just about make everything and anything happen because his magic was so powerful. Scarecrow didn't seem in the least bit frightened by the mention of the Wizard of Oz, as so many of the Munchkins had been. I wonder, he said, might I come with you, perhaps? I've been standing here in this field for a week or two now, and I've never done any walking. I'd love to go for a long walk, wherever it takes me. It will be good for me. Loosen me up. And I should love to have some new friends. I was sniffing at Scarecrow now. He smelt just like the barn back home in Kansas, a good familiar smell. A strong whiff of Uncle Henry's trousers and pipe tobacco and rather of mice too. I like mice and rats. What to chase? Dorothy was right. I did like Scarecrow and I liked his smells. Of course you can come with us, can't he, Toto? Said Dorothy. I think that would be a fine idea. Let's go, shall we? So the three of us set off down the yellow brick road that wound its way into the far, far distance, the two of them chatting away beside me as we went. Maybe you can help me, Scarecrow, Dorothy said after a while. You see, Toto and I, we don't know this country at all. This yellow brick road looks as if it will go on forever. Do you happen to know how far it is to the Emerald City? Until now, Scarecrow had been walking along quite happily, but suddenly he stopped and stood there, shaking his head sadly. Oh, I wish I could help you, Dorothy, he said. But look at me. I know nothing. I'm made of straw, all of me. My legs, my arms, my body, and worst of all, my head. I have no brains in my head at all, only straw. Maybe the great and terrible Wizard of Oz, if he can do just about everything he wants to, like you say, he could give me some brains. Oh, I want brains in my head like you, so I can know things, understand things. Everyone thinks I'm stupid, and I am. I am. Oh, Scarecrow, you're not, Dorothy said, holding his hands and looking into his eyes. You are good and kind and gentle, and Aunt Em says that's more important than anything else, doesn't she, Toto? I jumped up on Scarecrow's leg and licked his hand to make him feel happier. And that's when I smelled a stronger whiff of mice and rats in his straw, and so I snuffled at him with my nose, growling just a little because I was so excited. I get like that when I smell a rat or a mouse. He's growling at me, said Scarecrow. Oh, don't be afraid, Dorothy told him. Toto won't hurt you. Oh, I'm not afraid of dogs, Dorothy, Scarecrow said. I'm not afraid of anything, except fire. I really don't like fire. Maybe fire and straw don't agree with one another somehow. I don't know. That's my trouble, Dorothy. That's what's wrong with me, you see. No brains. I don't know anything. And that's that. And the next chapter is called How the Three of Us Became Four. Can you remember who the fourth person is that they meet? Well, let's see if you're right tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you then. Okay, bye.